We live?
Maybe.
We're
on the screen. It says it's red in the upper left, but I don't have my glasses on, so I'm going to assume we're live.
It does say live. That's how that works. Well, hey everybody, welcome to, what is it? Omni Liberal Studios.
Is that the name of the? We're in a different studio this time, though.
But it says New York too.
Oh, so you got a run sheet. Wow.
This whole run sheet is actually, Joe, if you're watching this, we expect next time DC version up at the top.
So actually, the reason why I should put that is so that people would know where to find us. It's called operational security.
That's
now
not
you
true.
You destroyed it. It is true. Now they're gonna hone in. But
well, I was about to read the address off. Good to see you, buddy.
Is it though? Is it really good?
It's good to see you. I would say that the circumstances, though, under which we're meeting are not ideal. Yeah. So we're about to watch the confirmation of our next defense secretary, a man who is eminently qualified because he was a Fox News host on the weekends.
Well, he also has an extensive military history as well.
He is a decorated combat veteran. That is true.
Army National Guard for 2 years?
Yeah.
1 year? 2 years?
2, 1, 2, doesn't matter. But listen, decorated veteran, right? Listen, to be sure. But yeah, Weekend Fox and Friends host. He ran a veterans organization, kind of ran it into the ground. He's really big with Trump. He hates women serving in the military. He's going to like purge the military of the DEI.
Which is good because I think we're really up on recruits right now, right? I think we're doing really well for membership in the military. And
we're actually turning people away. We have a surplus. We're like, listen, we have too many people.
Just like our budget's going to be in a surplus sometime in the next 4 years, I'm sure. Maybe all 4 years, you think?
100%. Yeah. Because
I was trying to bet with somebody else. Do you think that, are we going to have a budget surplus for 3 years or 4 years? Like, I don't know if we have to give Trump like a year and a half to turn it around. Or...
No, well, we did the first time, but because he's been president already, remember, he understands Washington far better now than he ever did. Right. So like he's as soon as hits the ground running.
They might amend last year's budget to be a 100%. Surplus because of how efficient he's going to run the government.
Yeah, he's just really a beacon of it. It's truly remarkable to see the changes that he's going to bring to this country. I mean, just flying right out the gate. But yeah, this is one of his more controversial nominees, and yet it's currently on track to go through.
Well, that's because you said one of his more controversial nominees. Well, this is one of his most controversial nominees, right?
Yeah, I
would
so,
say.
Yeah, I would say the only one that definitively, I think
there's two.
I think there's one definitive, one debatable.
Which one is debatable? Kash or
Kash Patel is definitive.
Okay. You think Tulsi is debatable?
Well, so
is it because she's a Russian asset, not a Chinese asset, or what's the?
So listen, I think that you could easily make the case that she is more controversial than Hegseth, but to me, Kash Patel, there's no debate. Like, to me, these are the top three right here. And he can only afford to lose 3 Republicans, but I think all of them are going to go through. That's the current reporting on it, that there's no Republican willing to buck Trump on this. And by the way, who wants to be that one, I don't know if we can curse, this one asshole, who's going to be the one asshole Republican who's like, no, I'm not voting for him, but you can't get 2 others. And so you're just the odd man out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
aren't there always I know when it comes to legislation, I only know this because I used to be a big libertarian, like Ron Paul would always be the guy voting no on everything. But I don't think he would ever be like the tiebreaker vote. So maybe Rand Paul will.
I don't know, man.
Who knows?
I by the way, bold of you to admit your cringe libertarian past. Do you feel bad about that?
You're literally from the South. Do you feel bad about that? Do you feel bad about slavery?
I'm from Kentucky. Listen, I was born in Pennsylvania, spent most of my life in Kentucky, but because I was born in Pennsylvania, I can claim the moral superiority of the Union.
You do not sound like you're from Pennsylvania.
What are you talking about? I have no Southern accent, no discernible accent whatsoever. And by the way, don't you have Kentucky roots too, asshole?
Kentucky roots, sure.
Yeah.
You don't know where the apple was grown once it's fallen from the tree, though, right?
Listen, I don't want to hear it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we're both equally Kentucky. This is the pot calling the kettle black.
Well, at least one of us is a pot, one of us is a kettle. So right. I'll let the audience sort that one out.
Listen,
that's a deep.
He's just being sassy this morning, people.
We're really going to find out if those cabinet chairs do anything, huh?
Well,
that's where we really find out. I think the next 4 years is, do these cabinet guys actually do anything? Because if they do, whew.
It is interesting. So, throughout most of American history, they weren't just like ceremonial figureheads. I mean, obviously, I imagine when you're talking about an organization like the DoD, it's like 2 million people, $800 billion budget, something like that. I don't know how active the Secretary of Defense is on a day-to-day level, but reportedly in the second Trump administration, they're going to be running basically everything out of the White House under Stephen Miller and people like that. So that's a good point. Like, is it even more so than usual? They're just going to be like attention-getting figureheads, and Trump's going to have like a death grip on everything. I don't know. But does it really matter?
Am I lying, or did I read? Did I read an article yesterday saying that Trump's incoming senior advisors or whatever were asking people in the White House who they'd voted
Yes,
for?
bro. I mean, isn't that? I mean, I wish Pisco were here for this, but isn't that illegal?
Wait, you mentioned something you wanted to chat about. Apparently they're in the works for some new Israeli Hamas peace deal. Wasn't there also a Trump envoy for those discussions as well?
Yeah, Steve Wickoff.
Why? Is that allowed? We just don't. That just doesn't matter anymore, I guess. Yeah, we just don't care about that, I guess.
I don't know to what extent this violates the Logan Act, because I believe that Wickoff or whatever was actually invited by the Biden administration to participate.
Oh, in that case,
on the basis that whatever deal they eke out, the Trump administration is going to have to enforce it. But yeah, like that's kind of, and that's not my area of expertise at all. So like I'm over here like reading this like, holy shit, is this actually going to happen? Because reportedly they're going to release like 33 of the 94 hostages. But I mean, who knows, man? There's so much news could be breaking today. Defense Secretary confirmed, peace in the Middle East. What
again,
right?
Wow. Because he brought how many times can Donald Trump create peace in the Middle East?
As many times as he's in office.
My
which could
God,
be for the rest of his life.
Maybe for the rest of all of our lives, depending on how things go. I
mean, genetically, he'll probably live out even though he's like
he
has a shitty diet. Like,
didn't he say he had America encoded in his DNA or something? Is that what his doctor said?
He's pretty fucking patriotic.
He said something. His doctor said something about how he has good genes. I remember this like 7 years ago.
I wouldn't be surprised, but the doctor that I'm thinking of is that Ronnie Jackson guy who serves in Congress now as a Republican. But believe it or not, this asshole used to be the personal physician to President Obama. And then he became the personal physician to Trump, and then he ran for Congress. This dude is a lunatic. There's something about Trumpism that even if you're a respected physician, like you just lose your brain along the way. Like you just have to sacrifice all your credibility.
Maybe. Yeah. My chat's reminding me of the quote. It's. I think it was like something along the lines of like, it's not DNA, it's USA. Something he said something stupid like that. Yeah, this is a long time ago though.
That's stupid shit. God. Oh. And he's not even in office yet, man. I mean, this is.
I know that's the biggest thing. Yeah, he's not even president yet.
The exhaustion you feel already.
Or maybe that's a good thing because there's still time for that Section 3 enforcement. Remember, the Supreme Court said the states can't do it, but maybe the no, wait, because they already confirmed him.
Right. Well,
would you do it? Who knows? Maybe on the 20th. Maybe.
And besides which, we know that since the Supreme Court's the court of last resort, they can change their fucking opinion, right?
That's true.
Stare decisis. It doesn't matter. Super precedent. It's like, listen, we said this on Monday, but it was really inconvenient to us, so we're going to send it. We're going to say something different on Tuesday.
The problem is that we're just stupid.
Yeah.
When they call themselves textualists, they just mean the text of whatever Alito and Roberts is cooking up over there. That's what the text of our opinion.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
You did?
With the Alito conversation?
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay.
It's like, hey, listen, do you have any advice on what flags I could put in my front yard now?
What's my wife. Them the most?
My wife.
Yeah, my wife.
Yeah. God.
You know what the funniest scandal would be is like 3 years from now, somebody is like telescopic lensing, watching Alito, and he comes out of the house and his wife comes out after with a lady behind her, like wheeling her out. She's been like wheelchair bound for like a decade and nobody knew about this. And there's just no way she could put the flag
or actually somebody records. She's the one telling him to take down the flag. Like, no, Sam, come on, you're a Supreme Court justice. Jesus. Don't do this. No, I'm here for life. God. Yeah, man. That's what I keep running into is that like spiritual exhaustion. I'm thinking he's not even president yet. Luke Beasley was like, do you want to stay in DC and stream the inauguration? I'm like, no, I do not.
Fuck no.
No, exactly.
Is it true? Is it true that it's one of these things that I read has to not be true. We're going to get to one of them. Is it true that he ordered that the flags must be flown at full mast for his inauguration? Or is that...
So he's not... After he becomes president, he can probably issue an order. It's Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. I mean, Trump has been bitching about this, to be sure, but he has no authority at the moment to to revoke President Biden's order. But Governor Greg Abbott, on the other hand, he issued a statement basically defying the president and saying, listen, sucks about Jimmy Carter and all that, but listen, we're having a new day in America, so we're going to put the flag at the appropriate elevation on Inauguration Day. And like, it's a petty thing, but do you ever get the impression
Trump has no respect for this country.
Well, that Republicans aligned with Trump, like elected Republican leaders, like the shoe's on the other foot. It's a former Republican president who died at age 100, and it's a Democrat who's being inaugurated. Would they rescind this order, or would they just keep the flags low? They'd probably keep the flag. Abbott would be like, if Kamala Harris had won the election, Abbott would be like, we're going to keep the flags at half mast for 4 years. Yeah.
At first, out of mourning for the dead Republican president, and then out of mourning for our country, because it's just so sad that the Democrats.
Because communism is here.
Are we there yet? Did we get to communism? I know Obama had 8 years. I think Biden had 4. I feel like we didn't get much closer to it.
Well, we're about to see the end of it because, again, Hegseth, future Defense Secretary Hegseth, and future FBI Director Kash Patel. That's a hearing I'm definitely looking forward to watching. That'll be fun. But yeah, I think they're going to purge communism. That's the whole point of this.
Thank God.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. You told me that Jack Smith dropped a report.
I think he wants to publish 2. He published one yesterday that I stayed awake doom scrolling a little bit.
Instead of grabbing a bite to eat with me. Yeah, let's talk about that.
I got in at 11 o'clock. Okay.
He's like, listen, I'm too tired for this.
Listen,
and then
I got a lot of stuff going on. Okay?
And then I caught you at a different restaurant. As I was sadly walking by with my pizza to go, I looked through a window and you were like holding court in one of the finest DC cuisines, talking. I could hear you through the window saying, at least Josiah's not here. Screw that guy.
Boy, it would have been so fucking awkward if you would have caught me with your mom. So.
Well, listen, it would have been really awkward because she's been dead for 6 years.
Oh, fuck. That's not even true. I never know if you're trolling.
No, it is true. It is true.
That's why it would have been really awkward.
Listen, if
rewind the clip on that.
We get totally dark here. I did see some dust on your shoulder. She was cremated. Can we get that dark here? I don't know what is Joe like freaking out right now that we're making this dark?
As dark as you want. Okay.
Perfect.
And listen. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jack Smith. New information. There's probably some new information. I didn't read it from top to bottom, but I saw in there that the government put in a request to Twitter for a subpoena for information about Trump's Twitter account. And Twitter said, we're going to tell them this. And they're like, well, we have an order saying that you can't do that. And they're like, well, we have no intention of complying with your order. And apparently, Smith noted in the report that this is the first time Twitter's ever done this in the history of all of Twitter. And so they asked the court for, it was a $50,000 a day. It was $50,000 for the first day, and then they were going to double it every day for a fine, I guess.
So it was like an exponential increase?
Yeah, so they wouldn't comply. And after $350,000, Twitter finally complied. I guess they needed 3 days to think about it, really think about it.
Oh, so, well, okay. That still sucks, but they did eventually give over the information?
I imagine that's the implication if they,
So I haven't had a chance to read it. I saw this morning on Twitter that
a lot of it is redundant information that you'd know if you follow my streams or heard anything about
I do. You basically, a little bit. I mean, you're like the world's leading expert. Reportedly, there's a video in the work that I think will be available on January 6, 2029.
It's on its way out. God. I'll have to have it to prevent the next election.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know why I thought this. I just assumed you were going to drop it on this past January 6th.
Well, originally, I think I wanted it way before that.
It could have changed the outcome
in
of the election.
Middle, yeah, 200,000, because I get about 200,000 views of video. That would have been 200,000 voters. It would have all been in swing states. And
yeah, let's talk about that actually for a minute. Do you feel like shit for, bringing fascism into this country by not producing the January 6th video and releasing it? You could have single-handedly. You could have. See, the rest of us can look back and say, did we put our best foot forward? And you, who has done so much to promote the work of democracy, unfortunately, the irony is you won't be able to say that. There's going to be a little bit of doubt in the back.
Did you watch V for Vendetta?
I did.
Imagine him not showing up at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you are V.
Oh my God! For our canvassing, I should make all of us wear the Guy Fawkes masks, just the cringiest possible.
I think it should be like Joe Biden masks or something else. What would really offend? Because V, that they would have they might be like, yeah, cool movie.
I was thinking about offending. I was thinking about being really cringy.
No, well, we can find ways to do that and be politically relevant. But you should feel really bad about what you've done.
I do.
Yeah,
feel horrible.
No, but going back to the Jack Smith report, I did see a clip or an excerpt that said, which I assume they would say something like this is almost like fait accompli, that they're confident that had it gotten to trial, they would have been able to convict him based on
if he wouldn't have been elected president. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, don't they have a disproportionately high conviction rate, 80 or 90%?
I want to say it's 90+%. Yeah.
Do you share their confidence? This is because I'm curious. Like, I remember when you first started to dive deeply in this, like once you looked at the not subpoenas, what are they called? The indictments and the superseding indictments, that you were pretty confident, like, oh, he's screwed. If this gets a trial, he's screwed. But given that Trump occupies a unique position, do you think it would have been pretty challenging in the classified documents case or in the January 6th case to secure a conviction from a jury? Like, these are big cases. He's a uniquely polarizing figure. You don't think there could have been a hung jury?
I mean, you're asking me to predict.
Yeah, but you were confident.
Outcome.
You're
I mean, like on the facts and the merits, assuming there's not like a Trump like sycophant in the jury, 1,000,000,000,000% easily. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like, could there be like that one crazy person? I mean, there wasn't in the New York jury.
True.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's we're not going to see volume 2, I think, because Canon blocked it.
Well, yeah, but fuck her. I think they're working on getting that released.
Wouldn't they have to redact a shit ton of it because they're still like his co-defendants who are being prosecuted? Like, I just imagine, like,
are they being there's no way they're being prosecuted. Who would be prosecuting them?
True.
Trump's DOJ.
That's actually a really good point. Do you expect them, like, you think he'll either pardon them or just order DOJ to withdraw the case?
They'll either stop if they haven't already stopped, or
because they can. I forgot about that.
Peace goes somewhere like, no, I'm sure they'll put their own special counsel, and he'll be a Democrat, and I'm sure that I'm sure that they'll continue the investigation just like we did with Hunter Biden.
Honestly, people, everybody should pour one out for Pisco today, because he's thinking about there are how many days left in Trump's in Biden's presidency? What day are we? 6 days left, and he's like, that's not enough time for Merrick Garland to investigate Biden one more time. Biden,
there's got to be one more set of indictments. Yeah. I'm sure, but he's in all those fast cars. You're telling me Merrick's never caught him speeding before?
That's right.
I bet there's a memoir or something where Joe's talked about driving too fast.
If Pisco were here right now, he'd be like, listen, for the sake of our democratic norms, I beseech Attorney General Merrick Garland to appoint a special counsel to investigate these allegations of speeding. God.
I feel like, fuck, I'm dooming so hard. It's not good. Be optimistic, okay? Think about what the next...
I can't. No, listen. Like,
what's the next coolest country?
I
was going to say Canada, but that might be America soon.
Yeah, exactly. Our 51st state.
Imagine escaping America, and then that place becomes part of America.
Bro, I got to say, President Sheinbaum of Mexico, I got to say, she's adopting a pretty, like, based posture in terms of, like, trolling Trump. And I think she said that when he was talking about, like, conquering Mexico and making it part of the United States, or renaming the Gulf of Mexico, she was, like, referring to the United States as northern Mexico and stuff like that. Like, she seems to be, and I imagine it only goes so far because he's going to be the president of the United States. That gives you a lot of leverage. But she seems to be, like, as the Brits would say, taking the piss. Like, she's, like, mocking him a little bit. Do you think we're going to see a lot of widespread capitulation from world leaders? Because Trump's going to be at the apex of his power. He's going to be more powerful than he ever was. He had unified control of Congress. He had the Supreme Court decision behind him, giving him sweeping immunity for any sort of criminal act that he might undertake. Do you expect, like, world leaders will bow? We've seen a lot of capitulation so far.
You have to some extent, because it's the United States, right? Like, we have so much economic value that saying something stupid on TV and then having your economy getting fucked because Trump decides to target you with some bullshit tariff or whatever would be catastrophic, right? So you're going to have to some extent.
God, that's the other thing too. Like, it's going to be tough, I think, watching people who probably have enormous contempt for him toe the line. I mean, set world leaders aside, what we've been seeing from social media leaders like Mark Zuckerberg. Like, to me, like, I was spamming this in your chat when you were talking about the other day, you know, Zuckerberg making all these changes to Meta. I think the grossest part for me was when Trump was asked at Mar-a-Lago, like, hey, have you seen these changes? Have you seen Zuckerberg's statement and these changes that he's making to Meta? And Trump said, yeah, I have, and it's going in the right direction. And he was asked point blank, do you think these changes were brought because of your threats against him? And Trump said, probably. To me, that's like the biggest fucking, like, scandal of the whole thing. It's not even just the changes on the merits, but that Trump is publicly saying he believes those changes are a product of him threatening to jail the person making the changes. Like, we just don't give a shit.
Yeah. So I shit on Zuck a lot because it triggered the fuck out of me to see everybody bending the knee. Mm-hmm. And then I made did you see the big tweet I made about it?
No.
I made a big tweet about it. I don't know why you're not reading all of my tweets. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Because people who are less cool than me, like Pisco, get far more retweets from you, and it's bullshit.
I retweet you and you pop up, but
I should be popping up like you should be seeking me out.
Looks like Musk is going after you.
Yeah.
I got an email from a guy, and this is what inspired me to make that really big tweet.
Maybe I did read it.
Maybe you did.
Can you give me a hint? Or are you gonna read it now?
Can I give you what?
A hint.
Oh, no, I'm just gonna read the email.
Okay. The email or the tweet?
The email.
Okay,
that I got. Sorry. He said, "Hey, Steven." He said, "Donald Trump threatened Mark Zuckerberg with life in jail, and now he's openly bragging about how Meta's new policies are probably a result of that." And then he links the story that you're referring to, where Trump was asked, "Do you think that Zuckerberg is responding to your threats?" He's like, "Yeah, probably." This is the most authoritarian shit in recent American history, and the media is covering it completely wrong, in my opinion, because nobody is talking about it. Nobody in tech circles here is talking about it. It's all, oh, I guess Zuck is MAGA now. None of my coworkers at Meta, fuck it, I hope they doesn't get fired, are aware that this happened.
First and last name at the end of the email, please.
They're just a mix of... That actually makes his name so much more funny. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
H1B. Nobody in tech circles here is talking about it. It's all, oh, I guess Zuck is MAGA now. None of my coworkers at Meta are aware that this happened. There's just a mix of sad/uninterested people in the new policies. Meta is censoring any criticisms of these new policies in internal forums, and me posting information about the threat. Not unexpected, to be honest. The dominant narrative against prominent lefties like this esteemed gentleman is decrying Zuck, calling him spineless, which he is, I suppose. I'm kind of just complaining to you about your tweet because the emphasis is in the wrong place. I'm in the a kingdom lost for want of being a bit nicer to fragile tech bros camp. So I don't think we should be bashing Zuck if possible. Oh, he's a little bit of a Zuck simp, I guess. But the broader point is that we lost this battle badly, and Trump's getting away with new lows again and again. We might have won this one by collectively going apeshit when the threat was first made and having major Democrats stand up for Zuck, but we couldn't have done that because TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. There's more 5-alarm fires like the North Carolina Supreme Court stuff and the Seltzer lawsuit. The Seltzer lawsuit. You know what? Hot take. I'll write we should write an amicus brief and support Trump on that one. Fuck Seltzer. She should be punished for that horrible poll.
For giving us
because of what she did to us.
Like,
I support Trump in that lawsuit.
Be like, listen, on principle, this is terrible. But on the other hand, lady, you gave us some serious false hope.
What were you doing? Yeah. But to go back, I feel like I'm saying this every day. It is astounding that, remember, the Twitter files came out. No direct FBI anything. However, just the fact that the FBI might send you an email, that's enough to say that was pressure. Remember how many times the implied pressure? Nick Rekieta said this to me. I think the Good Logic, he said it to me. So many people said that. Just the idea that you can even get an email. I think Rob Noor might have that position. An email from the FBI might be pressure. But if you were to ask these guys, what do you think about Trump on Truth Social saying that these guys would go to prison for life?
They don't care. Yeah,
well, he's saying if they're doing anything illegal, so it shouldn't matter, right? Like oh, that's not pressure. Like, and then the second, one of the largest, because he owns the other one basically, right? X, and now Facebook is capitulating to 4 years of Donald Trump in the office, and thank God no fact checkers. Seriously?
Yeah. So to me, this we shouldn't be as frustrated by the hypocrisy as we are. I'm trying to train myself to not give a shit about this because clearly they don't. I genuinely believe that they delight in their hypocrisy. I think they
do. I read that on my subreddit. But the difference between liberals and conservatives is that liberals doom scroll and conservatives just think it's all fucking hilarious.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think they love the fact that they simultaneously, cynically complain about, liberal, censorious nature. And then when you throw, because I like Piers Morgan is to me like the weather vane for this. And Mehdi Hasan confronted Piers about this, he used the Ann Selzer lawsuit in particular. And Piers said, well, does he have a right to sue her?
I think either him or somebody else said that.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. What show was I on? Somebody was like, oh, well, Trump has the right to sue, doesn't he? And it's like, or I might have even been watching Tim Pool and Luke, who, let's just take 1 second. What is Luke, like 21?
22.
22?
Yeah.
Newish to internet content, a couple years, steps into the lion's den with like fucking 5 or 6. There was one time where the camera changed. I was like, who is this guy? There's like another conservative.
Yeah, they actually like wheeled somebody else. They're like, shit, we have some real estate here. Yeah.
And and I'm like, and simultaneously, I would like to blaze Luke for, I don't know if this is intentional or if it was just his demeanor, okay? But it was so funny that because and I'm not making fun of him, but he has kind of I don't know if I would say like an aloof demeanor. I was really worried watching Tim go on that rant about whatever, and Luke was just kind of like sitting there, kind of like looking and not interrupting. I'm like, oh fuck, Luke doesn't know any of the facts on this. And I just remember by the 6 or 7 minute end of this, Luke was like, wait, you're gonna admit that all of you guys were completely and totally wrong on all of that, right?
I don't think I was wrong. And then they move on. Yeah, I mean,
There were like 5 of them in there. And after Tim does this whole thing about like, you don't know the facts, you don't know the case, you haven't read anything, you're just giving it a liberal, blah, 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 blah. And then Luke's like, well, let's go read this. And then to watch Tim, by the way, go through the fucking Wikipedia on a federal conviction where there are like to watch somebody try to figure out what somebody's charged with a crime for and not just Google the charging document when it's like the most, it's an insanely public federal case. And they're like, well, what's the evidence for this? I was like, you know, he was convicted, you fucking moron, right? It's not just a fucking tweet. But Luke eviscerated.
he killed it.
It was insane.
My favorite part, beside, I mean, the one that went the most viral was that moment. It was the first, like the 3 minute clip of just like Tim screaming at Luke. That was the thing that went viral. Then Benny Johnson, for some dumb reason, presumably because he didn't watch the end of his own clip,
or because he was getting paid by somebody at the Kremlin. But go ahead.
Potentially, comrade. By the way, you did this thing. I don't know if it's Tim Pool. You did this thing the other day, and I was listening to you. I had you in my back pocket. I think I was at the gym, and it was Dave Smith or somebody. That's who it was. Anytime he would speak, I heard like music in the background. I kept thinking like I was sitting, like it was like, fuck, is this an ad or something?
Oh no, that's just what he sounds like when he talks.
Right. You're playing. You're
That's what he sounds like when he talks.
these Russian anthems. But anyway, yeah. So at the end of that 7 minute clip that Benny Johnson shared is exactly what you were talking about. Them fact checking themselves in real time, and you can just see Tim wilt. And that's when Luke says, you know, or we're just gonna skip over what you said. But to me, the funnier one, and it's petty, because anybody could have made this mistake, was a few minutes later, they were talking about allegations against prominent conservatives, like, for example, Pete Hegseth, who has been accused of sexual misconduct. And Tim Pool goes on this whole spiel. He's like, do you believe so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-so? And then he drops another name. And he meant to say Christine Blasey Ford, who was the woman who accused Brett Kavanaugh, current Supreme Court justice. But he fucks up her name. Again, anybody could do this. He's like, do you believe Christine Hoff Sommers? And Luke says, wait, which one was that? And he said, that was the woman who accused Brett Kavanaugh. He's like, oh, yeah, I believe her. And he's like, do you remember all this and that? And Luke said the responsible thing. He's like, well, listen, you know, if we're going to debate that, I'd want to brush up on the facts and everything, blah, blah, blah. And Tim ends it with, you know, the difference between conservatives and liberals is, you know, knowing what you're talking about. But he fucked up her name. And so to me, it's like, that's like to be the ultimate Tim Pool microcosm there, like going out of your way to lecture somebody on how much they know or don't know, and you get even their fucking name wrong.
Christine Hoff Sommers, she was popular for all of a hot minute as like the anti-feminist feminist or something, right? I remember her, yeah. I can't believe there were so many stupid things. He tried to lecture him on, you don't know anything about defamation per se or whatever, and Tim didn't even know what that meant, and he gave an incorrect assessment of what that even meant. And then he did he ran through the gamut of every false fact he knew about every case. Do you know about Ahmaud Arbery or whatever? And then he went to the George Floyd, and then he's just. You want to know what makes me the most angry about Tim? Why I wouldn't feel bad seeing him like locked up for the crimes that he's committing against my country. You know what made me the most angry about Tim? And I think it's the most scathing indictment of their character. You've seen the Tim Pool thing. Ukraine is the enemy of the people. We owe Russia to or whatever bullshit. Did you know that Tim was on the ground during Euromaidan in 2014?
No,
Did I ever say he has a whole Reddit thread where he's doing an AMA about Euromaidan, and he's answering questions. They're like, oh, what's it like? Then he's like, I'm on the ground. There's a lot of genuine fervor from the people. There's like hundreds of thousands of people out here. And they're like, oh, like, does it seem like are there like, there so many specific questions that he'll like be completely contradictory to today. They're like, oh, is there far right protests? Whatever. He's like, there's like a few people that are trying to stir shit up, but like for the most part, no, it's just a ton of people. And he's like, why are they protesting? And it's like, they have genuine angst because the leader seemed like he wanted to go pro-Russia and the people of Ukraine wanted to be pro-European. Like he knew all of this. Not only did he know it all, he knew it all like as he was on the ground reporting about it 10 years ago, I guess when he was a contractor for Vice. And to see him 180 completely dated because the money's there for it is so fucking disgusting to me.
I mean, it's sad, but he's hardly the only like formerly credible journalist. Like Matt Taibbi is another great example. You want to talk about a guy who's just, I mean, he's just killed his own credibility. Michael Schellenberger,
I don't know, man. I spoke with somebody about Schellenberger a while ago. I wonder sometimes if these guys were ever good or if they just got really lucky with some story.
Possible. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, like I know Taibbi was, I don't want to say a household name, but he was like pretty reputable as far as journalists were concerned. But like, you want to talk about a guy who's just become like a token conservative, mouthpiece. I mean, I am not aware of a position. And again, maybe they're out there because I don't like follow his account, but I'm not aware of a major conservative position when it comes to speech that Taibbi and Schellenberger don't simp for. I mean, Schellenberger is out here like taking the conservative position on the LA wildfires, right? Just like the budget was cut and like all this shit. And so like there's just no limiting principle. And
fucking Anna Kasparian. Sorry, go ahead.
Bro. Oh, hey, I will say.
No, wait. Finish what you were saying though. There's no limiting principle. And then
well, no, it's just there's no limiting principle. Sad to see, and that's where I'm curious. Like, is it not possible if you genuinely believe that a conservative had a valid position on free speech in a specific issue? Like maybe you really believe that the Biden administration, overstepped the blurred line of, a dialogue with social media companies versus overt government pressure, because it's not like an easily demarcated line. That's fine. But why is it that you don't just stop there? What is it about these people that prompts them to then start to simp for every major Republican position? Like, I'm not aware, I guess, of what I'm saying of a principled critic of the Democratic Party that doesn't, unless you're Mehdi Hasan or Waja Ali or others like that don't like then start to take up just bread and butter conservative issues.
I don't know what does it. It's probably because there's a lot of reward and audience capture on that side. Has the Hegseth interview begun? You might want to see this if it's on screen.
He says they're taking you offline.
Oh, okay.
Need to check the chords or something. It's super cut.
Check the chords? Oh, like to our mics?
Yeah, I don't know. They said they're taking us offline. But it says we're still live, though.
Me.
All right, can you guys,
Most of it was
hear
about
me?
President Donald Trump, who's had to endure
Testing
the very
the audio.
same thing for much longer amounts of time. And he endured it incredibly strong ways. So we, in some ways, knew it was coming. We didn't understand the depth
because I'm hearing
of the dishonesty that would come with it.
them.
So
All right,
from
we're testing
story
the
after
audio.
story in the
Bad as it
media,
was, you hear
left-wing media,
popping.
we saw anonymous source after anonymous source based on second or third hand accounts.
All right.
And time again, stories would come out and people would reach out to me and say, I've spoken to this reporter about who you really are, and I was willing to go on the record.
Okay.
But they didn't print my quote. They didn't
All right.
print
I am in DGG.
any of my quotes. Or
How's the
I've worked
audio?
with you for 10 years, or I was
Yes,
your
in real
accountant,
time.
or I was your chief operating officer, or I was your board member,
Bad,
or
terrible.
I was with
still
you
cracking
on
the
100
Messiah.
different tour stops for
It's fucked,
Concerned Veterans
real
for
bad.
America. No one called me. No one asked about your conduct on the record or off the record. Instead, a small handful of anonymous sources were allowed to drive a smear campaign and agenda about me because our left-wing media in America today, sadly, doesn't care about the truth. All they were out to do, Mr. Chairman,
Sounds like a
was
Zoom
to
call.
destroy
Hmm.
me. And why do they want to destroy me? Because I'm a change agent and a threat to them, because Donald Trump was willing to choose me, to empower me,
You want to
to
hear
bring
me?
the Defense Department back to what it really should be, which is war fighting. So I'm
Well,
willing to
we're
endure these
watching the
attacks.
Confirmation.
But what I
hearing
will do
of,
is stand up for the
Pete
truth
Hegseth, former Fox
and for my
News
reputation.
host.
False attacks,
What a stellar,
anonymous attacks, repeated ad nauseum, printed as
God.
nauseum, as facts.
All right, so
we
we're
have
watching
provided to the
confirmation
committee,
hearing
Mr.
of
Chairman,
Pete
and I know you're going to
Hegseth, former
share
Fox and Friends
on the record
weekend
statement after
host.
on the record statement
He has
for
been
people who
credibly
have
accused
served
of
with me,
sexual
worked with me
misconduct and
at Fox News,
alcohol
Concerned
abuse
Vets, Vets for
and
Freedom,
financial
you name it.
management of nonprofits.
From the top of the chain to the bottom,
organizations.
who will say I
which
treat them with
suppose make him
respect,
one of the more
with
qualified
kindness,
Republican
with
nominees.
dignity. That's
Um,
men, that's women, that's
the
black, that's white, that's every background. I have prided myself as a leader of
We
respecting
barely
people,
understand you. The
being
big
professional.
cutting you
That
up.
is the balance of mine. I'm not a perfect person. as has been
Your audio was
acknowledged,
fucked too.
saved by the grace of God,
Videos loud.
by Jesus and Jenny.
Bro, I don't know what you're saying, but it's so true.
I'm not a perfect person, but redemption is real. And God forged me in ways that I know I'm prepared for. And I'm honored by the people standing
What about
and
now?
sitting behind
How's
me.
the audio now?
I look forward to leading this Pentagon on behalf of the warfighters.
Thank you, Mr. Hexeth. And frankly, I'm sure there are millions of Americans watching who would agree that
Same.
they've experienced that same sort of redemption. So I do appreciate that. I
Jenny is
realize
just
it
like,
involves a little bearing of the
Jenny is
soul,
accessible.
but thank you for that. Now let's talk
The
about
video is about 4
top line
times as loud
defense
as you
spending.
are.
I have a plan. I think you've read it. I've issued another plan for Freedom's Forge, which you've also had a chance to look at. And you have noted correctly that the current trend line of defense spending falling below 3% of our GDP is a threat to national security. You also said building the strongest and most powerful military in the world must be done responsibly, but it cannot be.
Wow, it sure sounds like they don't plan on cutting defense spending, as I've been assured some right-wing populists demand. Curious about that. Sounds like they're complaining the Defense Department isn't getting more money. Interesting. I don't know if I'm still live. Am I still live? Hi, everybody. So, how's the audio now? The video is also popping. It's gotten better. People say it's gotten better. We're making progress. So what about that, folks? For those of you who are actually able to watch it right now, the moment, the confirmation hearing, it sure sounds like these Republicans are wanting to do what Republicans always want to do, which is increase defense spending, not cut it. And by the way, if I look particularly stupid right now, it's because if I get instructions, it's coming over this loudspeaker like we're back in elementary school. So I have to have one ear open. Please no screenshots or clips. Yeah, it sounds like Jenk might be wrong. Or right-wing populace. Get Josiah closer to the mic. Guys, there's like an inch separating this microphone and I. How close do we have to be? I want to make out with it. I don't think your mic is on. Every time you talk, say this just in, you look like a cool news anchor. This just in. We have Stephen Bennell. Who?
The fucking guy.
He's probably a stud, isn't he? Exactly.
There was a guy that got like famous doing the he would be like, and here we are, thank you for watching us from the British Parliament. And then he'd be like, now that we're off air, I hate how corrupt and evil everybody is and blah blah blah. And I hate, and he would just like do a whole rant like a reporter that's like thought he was off air. Do you know?
Yeah.
You've seen him before. You know what I'm talking
No,
about?
probably not. But it sounds
you
it
know
sounds
him.
like a real gas, as the kids say. So how's the audio now? They say that
Don't worry about what they say.
about it's your chat.
I'm gonna be honest. I set this whole event up just because I wanted to cover the news with you in person. I don't give who cares. We can shut the stream off. We just chat.
Yeah, you know, it'll
Like
be a really
human
good time.
beings. It's
I
okay.
would believe that if you didn't decline to, eat dinner with me last night.
It was late.
That's fine. It's cool. I was starving. I fasted, basically thinking, I'm gonna get an opportunity to hang out with my buddy Steven. And yeah, it's fine. I don't take it personally. He says, "You're so quiet, it's not even a troll. I'm begging you."
You or you?
Chat.
No. Who's you in this?
You,
Oh.
Steven. Sorry.
I'm not quiet. I'm good.
Okay.
Oh,
so
both.
can I go back to this?
He turned the gain on the ATEM settings. If you're listening to me, you turn them down to like -11. Try turning them to -5. The gain, not the fader. I think it got turned down too much. Oh, or actually, and turn the fader to 0. Reset it so that it's at the default position. Okay. Who cares about them? Don't worry about them. It's just you and me here, baby.
Can I move this thing because I feel
We're a
like I have to
couple
be
of-
leaning over here. There
We're
we
a couple of Kentucky Fried critters.
Listen,
Kentucky Fried commentators.
have you actually spent any time in Kentucky?
Fuck no. Wait,
Louisville's
no,
pretty
I
good.
haven't. Huh. Louisville. Not Louisville.
No, I said
Louisville.
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 Louisville is the appropriate pronunciation. It's the best
You know
place to live in
something that
Kentucky.
Canadians will tell you?
What's that?
It's not Toronto. It's Toronto.
Toronto.
But like
you
90%
don't-
of them call it Toronto.
So you don't like pronounce the second T?
Yeah, it's Toronto.
Oh, interesting.
But fuck them because they all say it with the T anyway.
Yeah, they enunciate. We don't do that.
I hope when
here.
we annex their shit, I hope we rename all their territories.
We're not annexing them because they are surrendering willingly. To
But
the
then
United
after they
States.
surrender, we'll annex them.
Oh, okay. Well, Wouldn't that be hilarious if there were some like I'm curious, like in the twisted vision that MAGA has for this, would Canada just be one state and would it be liberal leaning, or would they, divvy it up into multiple states? Because they would never accept a deal like in a hypothetical world that would increase Democratic share.
We don't have to. We have a blueprint for this already. It's called the West Bank. Canada would just be occupied territory with no democratic representation. Boom. That's the best of all the worlds.
Swinging back to that purported peace deal in the works, did you read anything about what's going to happen to the West Bank in that? Because again, I
don't think there were any details released about it, like super details. The things that I read that were historic firsts, is that there wasn't any explicit mention of Hamas being removed from power in the Gaza Strip. Something about prisoners or people would be allowed to return to the Gaza Strip. I think that had like fled or something. Something about getting hostages back. Yeah, I don't remember anything being explicitly carved out for the West Bank. But
gotcha. All right, how's the audio sound?
I can hear you loud and clear.
I can hear you just fine. I can't hear any of Hegseth or.
Oh yeah, as soon as we're ready, let's get Mr. Hags on the screen there.
God, I'm curious. Apparently, like it's supposed to be an explosive hearing, but apparently the explosions are just coming from the microphones.
HERO, which is an organization of retired four-star generals and former secretaries of defense that is critical of the proposed purge panels. One from an organization for domestic violence, one for a council on American relations, and also, and also several letters that raise questions.
Probably the latter.
Without objection, they will be
but you and I
submitted. And Mr. Reed, your time is now expired.
A little. Is there any way you can boost the audio of the?
You're recognized for 7 minutes.
Thank you. You're a very understanding chairman. I like that. I like that.
It is true. We would like to hear what they're saying.
Ms. Hegseth,
a little bit. Yeah.
You've written in its quote, "Oh yeah, and fire any general who hasn't carried water for Obama and Biden's extra constitution and agenda-driven transformation for our military. Clean house and start over." It's come to my attention that current
we need to hear more
personnel have received email.
What do you think they're saying? Let's ad lib.
Well, now they're frozen. They're not saying shit because they paused the video.
They're contemplating.
Yeah.
Threatening them
I like
with being
Hegseth's
fired
determined look here
for supporting the current DOD
He's probably
policies.
thinking like, damn, it's been a minute
One
since
mail
I've
that
had
was
a
sent
drink.
to a military officer with the subject line,
You guys got any beer?
"Clean house," reminiscent of your specific
It's
comment,
10:28 a.m.
states, and I quote, "With the incoming administration looking to remove disloyal, corrupt, traitorous, liberal officers such as yourself,
It's a Mac upstairs.
we will
so it's
certainly
extra
be
hard to
putting your
troubleshoot.
name into the list of those personnel to be removed.
Wait. Oh,
We
cinema?
know
Oh.
you support the
Cinema
woke
guy's not
DEI
there.
policies and will ensure you never again influence anyone in the future.
You're fucking
You
with me. You
and
can't hear this, right? Can you?
redacted spouse's
Okay.
name
I've
I'm
been filling
trying
out
to.
the
I'm desperate
audiologist
to.
doing the audio test.
No.
I'm like failing every.
No, I can't.
Now, I want to remind everyone that these policies that are being referred to date back decades, to the 1940s and 50s, with respect to racial discrimination.
Again.
Like he's working on something. Why do I know that guy on the right?
That's because that's a Democratic senator. That's
No.
Jack Reed.
He looks like the hospital owner in Scrubs. You know what I'm talking about?
Dr. Cox?
No.
Not Dr. Cox. Old mean guy.
Yes.
It is Dr. Cox?
No. It's not.
Oh.
Dr. Cox is the really, really mean guy. No, wait. He's not the hospital owner. He's a doctor.
He's like dean of medicine or something.
Doctor
Like,
in Scrubs, Dean. Wait, why can't I find this guy? Who is he? I thought he was like the big boss. Mr. Magoo? Scrubs. No.
Kelso.
What?
Kelso. Dr. Kelso. Bob
Oh.
Kelso.
Yes.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like him,
He does.
right? Can you give me that?
I give you that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
I
yeah.
agree. Okay.
Oh, this shit's gonna be so lit when you all can hear it. It's gonna be so good. Maybe that's what we could do instead of like listening to it. Like we will you can be the senator, I'll be Hegseth, or rather you be Hegseth.
Yeah,
and I'll be
go.
the
You're
senator.
Hegs,
Courage
go.
of people
Do you
decades and
believe,
decades ago.
Mr.
Incredibly
Hickson,
important.
please, do you mean,
However,
please,
the
do you-
DEI policies of today are not the same as what happened back then. They're dividing troops inside formations, causing commanders to walk on eggshells.
He's still talking.
Yeah. God.
Excuse me, you're moving your lips a lot and I can't hear anything that you're saying. Are you drunk right now? Is that why you're moving your lips so much and no sound is coming out?
No, of course not.
You did. How did you speak without moving your lips, sir? Are you a ventriloquist? I've never heard one in my life in a hearing meeting like this before. I don't think I could vote for you in good conscience if I don't see your mouth moving in line with you speaking at the same time. This is of grave concern to us, especially noting your history as an alcoholic and how many alcoholics tend to also be ventriloquists. I need to trust that when you're speaking, it's your words coming out of your mouth, Peter Hegseth. Also, gin is a very bad hard liquor. You should be ashamed of yourself. I would much prefer Absolute vodka. It's the best. Is this guy a Republican or on the
He's
right?
a Democrat.
Democrat.
Yeah,
Yes.
He's the Democratic ranking member.
We are going to be drinking so much during this presidency. I don't think you understand that all of us are about to become alcoholics with you. And you might be the only sober person in this entire room by the time we are finished with this hearing. And yeah, it's going to be quite the adventure through alcoholism for all of us, especially given the advanced age of us.
Well, listen, I didn't hear a word you just said because I was too busy contemplating my next binge. Okay, number one. Number two, everything you just said is also irrelevant in light of the fact that I was on Fox and Friends. Okay, did you have your own Fox News show? Did you have your own MSNBC show? No, of course you didn't. All right. So who are you to be asking me questions about my qualifications? How many times have you been in front of a camera in front of tens of millions of really old conservatives? Exactly. I'm the one who's really struggling. Like the burdens that I've
Evidence withheld. There was prosecutorial misconduct. And as someone who looks case by case and defaults to the warfighter, to the men and women with dust on their boots, not the second guessers in air-conditioned offices in Washington, D.C.
Excuse me.
I look case by case and was proud to work with President Trump.
I'm just going to start mouthing words.
Well, I tried to cut you off and then he kept going. Fuck, it's getting heated. Okay, I'm going to run upstairs real quick.
I think yeah, they need some expertise.
Yeah, we're doing up there. Wait, check your Discord because sometimes I message you that.
Yeah, that's fine. I've got it up. Hi, everybody. Oh, people are being mean to my poor buddy Lycan. Somebody said his Lycan taking care of the audio. Well, everybody. 100%. I'd much rather confirm Lycan as Secretary of Defense. There's no question. He's a veteran, good guy, smart guy. Oh, and better looking too. I mean, Hegseth's good looking, but Lycan's better looking. There's no question. Jack Reed looks. So guys, I actually can't hear it at the moment. How has it been so far? Have they been like shit talking back and forth? Lycan is a Joe Rogan podcast away from declaring war on DEI. Stop it. Stop it. Is it friends? Is it difficult being friends with someone stubborn as destiny? No, he's a good buddy. They say it's very quiet. We can't hear it. Gotcha. Oh my God, Deb Fisher. Deb Fisher, hey, by the way, making the viral rounds because this woman's husband refused to shake hands with Vice President Harris during her swearing in ceremony. Like just totally shitty. like in ways you can't possibly fathom. Like just, and even Harris was like, "Wow, really?" Can you imagine if it were a Democratic president, or excuse me, a Democratic senator being sworn in by a Republican vice president, and that person's spouse declined to shake Mike Pence's hand or JD Vance's hand? Of course, we'd never do that, but perhaps we should. I do think that Democratic politicians should start reciprocating the disrespect. A big one for me is just not referring to Trump as president. Like, part of me dies inside every time they say, oh, President Trump or Mr. President. Like, no, just Republicans do this shit all the time. They say Joe Biden or Biden. No, just call him Donald Trump. And I'm just saying my stream has never had audio issues. Don't forget, Pence's wife refused to shake Trump's hand at the funeral. That's true. And my favorite part was like the Carter Foundation shared an image of all the former presidents and vice presidents at President Carter's funeral, and Trump was blocked out by a pillar. Just chef's kiss. Well done. Is Josiah okay now? Josiah's been okay, baby. Josiah's been totally fine. Aces. Now, Josiah's audio, that's a different story. High-pitched sound. Do I sound like Voldemort? Harry Potter, the boy who come to live, or boy who lived, come to die. Fuck that lineup. His audio sounds like he's speaking through a 2012 Dell Inspiron. Oh. Favorite Harry Potter movie? Prisoner of Azkaban. It's not my favorite. So I know it's a lot of people's favorite Harry Potter book, but it is not mine. But it is my favorite Harry Potter movie, Prisoner of Azkaban. Favorite Clive Owen role? Ooh, probably King Arthur. He was King Arthur in 2004. Keira Knightley, Clive Owen. But to be honest with you, I'm having a hard time remembering other like major Clive Owen roles. Most controversial food take. I don't know. I don't know if I have one. As a general proposition, I have found that I don't like, or I prefer like mid-grade restaurants like to like high-end cuisine, even though like the quality of the food's supposed to be better. I've found that it is usually not so much better as to justify the price or the smaller portions. So like gun to my head, I prefer to go to like, I don't know, just like I actually just really prefer like sports bar food. Like that's my problem. Like it's my biggest problem as I get older, like still working out, lifting weights, is my diet sucks, but I'm getting better about eating salads, but I prefer like sports bar food, like wings. Love wings. Felon that would take the GOP saying Biden crime family constantly. Yeah, I mean, again, I think as a general proposition, Democrats should just continue to be disrespectful to Donald Trump. Again, reciprocate it. I'm a geek for civics. I prefer to refer to people by their titles, even Republicans, even when I don't like them. I think Ronald Reagan was a shitty president, but like in my videos, I still refer to him as President Reagan. Trump is the one exception. I do not and will not refer to him as by his title. And I think that you have to, if you want civility and you want decorum, you have to reciprocate it. And Republicans don't do that. New York style pizza. Well, I'm just trying to imagine right now because I can't hear or see the hearing at the moment. I'm not sure if either of you can, but I'm imagining Fisher is probably concluding her questions. And we are now on to the next Democratic senator. And that Democratic senator is probably reading Hegseth the Riot Act. But again, I just want to be clear. Hegseth will probably get confirmed. I know like Lawrence O'Donnell and others were like, Hegseth's not going to have the votes. But he can afford to lose 3 defections. If he loses 2 defections, if he loses 3, it's over. I'm just not convinced that they'll get 3 defections. I mean, Trump and Musk have threatened to primary people who don't support. Oh shit, Hegseth or Fisher's still there. Good God, how long are they asking?
Real short.
Oh wait, they wrapping up?
Serious investment targeted at
Oh,
systems that we truly need by also
like Tony
incentivizing
Ernst
competition
and
and laser focus from the OSD, from the Office of Secretary of Defense, to all the particular strategic initiatives to revive them. So it's not because one system, it's multiple systems.
You may want to expand on that on the record. At this point,
because there was
my colleagues, I would
actually Trump
ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter organized by a group called Flag Officers for America, which has 120 retired generals and admirals offering their support for Mr. Hegseth's nomination. I ask unanimous consent.
Thank you.
Without objection, it is entered into the record. Senator Shaheen.
Good morning, Mr. Hegseth.
Good morning, Senator.
I was pleased when I was contacted on your behalf about meeting before this hearing.
Her name.
I've been on this committee since 2011, and during that time, I voted to confirm 6 nominees to be Secretary of Defense from 3 administrations, 2 Democratic and 1
I
Republican.
can't hear the audio, but you can see the
first Trump
disdain on her
administration.
face.
Every one of those
She's probably
nominees
saying,
met with me
"It's really
and my
beta
Democratic colleagues
shit
on this committee
that you're a weekend
before the
Fox News
hearing.
host instead of a weekday one.
So, as you can imagine, I was disappointed when
How's the
no one
audio
ever followed
sound,
up.
chat?
When we
How's
followed
the
up
audio
with your
sound?
office, you were not able to meet. Do you understand that if you're confirmed to be Secretary of
Loud,
Defense,
good,
that
excellent.
you will
Cuffed
have a
as fuck
responsibility
still,
to
good.
meet
Turn
with
everything
all
down
members of
30%,
this
still
committee,
absolute
not
shit.
just Republicans?
Senator, I very much appreciate and understand the traditionally bipartisan nature of this committee. Their national defense is not partisan. It should not be about Republicans or Democrats. And so
Thank
I
you.
look forward to working together with you and your colleagues on priorities facing this nation. Yes.
I think we would expect that. And one reason that I wanted to meet with you was because I thought
I
it would
sure
be
can,
really helpful
even
to
though I'm
better
educated in
understand
Kentucky.
your views on women in the military.
1, 2,
Because you've made a number of
3,
surprising
4,
statements
5, 6,
about women
7,
serving
8,
in the
9,
military.
10.
As recently as November the 7th of 2024 on the Sean Ryan Show, you said, and I quote, "I'm straight up saying that we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective." The quote went on a little longer, but that was the gist of it. That was before you were nominated to be Secretary of Defense. Mr. Hegseth, do you know what percentage of our military is comprised of women?
I believe it's 18 to 20%, Senator.
It's almost 18%. And in fact, DOD's 2023 demographic report indicated that there are more women serving now and there are fewer separations. So they make up a critical part of our military. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, ma'am. Women in our military, as I have said publicly, have and continue to make amazing contributions across all aspects of our battlefield.
Well, you also write in your book, The War on Warriors, with the chapter, The Deadly Obsession with Women Warriors, that, quote, not only are women comparatively less effective than men in combat roles, but they are more likely to be objectified by the enemy and their own nation in the moral realms of war. Mr. Hegseth, should we take it to believe that you believe that the two women on this committee who have served honorably and with distinction made our military less effective and less capable?
I'm incredibly grateful for the two women who've served our military in uniform and including in the Central Intelligence Agency, contributions on the battlefield, indispensable contributions. Senator, I would like to clarify, when I'm talking about that issue, it's not about the capabilities of men and women, it's about standards. And this committee has talked a lot about standards. Standards that we, unfortunately, over time, have seen eroded in certain duty positions, certain
I don't know if you need
schools,
to answer right
certain
now. Can I
places.
kind of talk to you later? Like right now, we're live testing
Which
a
is
mic.
what I care about the most, readiness
I
on the
appreciate
battlefield.
that.
We're
And
live
so
testing a thing. Can I, I don't know if you need an
However,
answer on this stuff now, but can we talk
Your
about it here in a bit?
Statements publicly
Okay,
have
cool.
not
All right,
been
see ya.
to that effect. After your nomination, you did
This is
state
Luke.
to a group
So-
of reporters that you, quote, support all women serving in our
Tim Pool
military today
stuff.
who do a
Yeah.
fantastic job across the globe, including
So yeah, we're
combat.
testing the audio here. Sorry.
So what I'm confused about, Mr.
Don't know what
Hegseth,
Hegseth's saying
which
right
is it?
now. How do
Why
I
should
sound,
women in our
chat?
military, if you were the Secretary of Defense, believe that they would have a fair shot
Right, we're
and
gonna
an
keep
equal
testing the audio
opportunity to rise
here.
through the ranks? If on the
Is the
one
audio any
hand,
better?
you
Sounding
say
good.
that women are not
sound fine,
competent, they make our
actually.
military less effective. And
Crackling
on the other
seems
hand,
better,
you
really
say,
good,
oh no, now
actually.
that I've been nominated to be the Secretary
You
of
sound
Defense,
good, no
I've
crack.
changed my view on women in the military. What do you have to say to the almost 400,000 women who are serving today about your position on whether they should be capable to rise through the highest ranks of our military?
Senator, I would say I would be honored.
All right. So
to have
chat,
the
how do I
opportunity
sound? Is
to
the
serve
crackling
alongside
gone?
you,
How do I sound relative
shoulder to
the
shoulder,
video?
men and women, black,
how's
white,
everything?
all backgrounds with a shared purpose.
This is actually
Our
good. We can
differences
hear
are
you
not
over the
what define us.
video.
Our
Sounds
unity
fucking
and our shared
fine.
purpose is what
It was
defines
good
us. And
until
you
you
will be
said no
treated
crackles,
fairly,
which
with
crackled.
dignity,
Video's
honor,
still
and
louder.
respect, just like every man
Louder than the
and woman in
video.
uniform, just
You
like the
sound
men and women
great.
that I've worked with in my veterans organizations, to include when I was a headquarters company commander in the Minnesota National
All
Guard.
right, folks,
Well,
what
I
about
appreciate your
now?
11th hour
Damn,
conversion.
Shaheen is
But, Mr.
giving it to
Chairman,
Hegseth.
for the
She
record,
is
I would
reading
like
him
to
the riot
submit
act. You
Chapter
can see the
5, the deadly
well-justified
obsession with
contempt
women
on her
warriors, for the
face.
record. Mr. Hegseth,
But without objection.
Still
it
crackling
will
on the mic
be,
in the video.
submitted.
Crackle pop.
are
Crackling
you
yourself on
familiar
the
with the
video. It's
Women,
not
Peace,
just
and
the mic.
Security agenda
It's
at
going
the
up and down
Department of
constantly.
Defense?
Sometimes okay, sometimes loud.
Yes, ma'am,
as
I am.
fuck, and
This is a
crackling
law
on
that
and
was
off.
signed during President-elect Trump's first term. It was legislation that I sponsored with Republican Senator Capito of West Virginia. It was co-sponsored by Marco Rubio, the nominee to be the President-elect's Secretary of State. It was led in the House of Representatives by Kristi Noem, the President-elect's nominee to be the Secretary of Homeland Security. It mandates
Damn,
that
he
women
does
be
not look
included
pleased.
in all aspects of our
That's a
national
Democrat right
security,
now.
including conflict
woman, two
resolution
things
and
he hates
peace
above all else.
negotiations. And at the Department of Defense, it has been the law for 8 years under both the Trump and Biden administrations. The DOD has incorporated
Hegseth
women
looks like he could
throughout
really use
its
a drink right now.
decision-making as a result. Every single combatant commander across
Oh,
two
my God.
administrations has told this committee that this law
He
and
hates
its
his ex-wife
implementation
more.
at the Department of Defense provides them a strategic
The
advantage
volume levels are good now, but
operationally.
it's still crackling, Josiah.
Based on your
Yeah.
comments,
Sorry,
it
fellas.
appears that
Sorry, folks.
the example that you would like to set, not only
Josiah,
for
tell
women in
Steven
this
that the
country,
video's
but for
cracking
women
too. It's
across the
probably not
globe,
an issue.
50%
mic
of the
issue, but a
world's
driver issue.
population
So
has
to
the
whoever's listening
prospective
in the studio
nominee to
heavens
lead
above,
the most
they're
combat
literally
credible
on the floor above
military
us.
in the entire world.
Joe says it might
is
be
that
a driver
women
issue.
should not have an equal opportunity in our military. So will you commit to preserving the Women, Peace, and Security law at DOD and
This
including
Democrat
in
is
your
very
budget
hawkish, opposed to the Afghanistan pullout.
the
and is very
requisite
progressive.
funding to continue to restore and resource these programs throughout the DOD?
Senator, I will commit to reviewing that program and ensuring it aligns with America First national security priorities, meritocracy, lethality, and readiness. And if it advances American interests, it's something we would advance. If it doesn't, it's something we
Well,
would look at.
since former President Trump signed the law, I hope that he agrees with you.
Thank you, Senator Shaheen. At this point, I would ask unanimous consent to enter into the record 5 letters of support from female service members in combat veterans who support Mr. Hegseth's nomination. These women represent diverse viewpoints from a retired colonel with over
All right. Sorry. Let's see here. Talk to us. Well, we're here in beautiful Washington, D.C. It's quite cold. Just down the road, this confirmation hearing is taking place. We should have set up shop right outside the Capitol or something like that. Of course, then it'd be freezing. Could be doing this live, like maybe see Hegseth walking down the steps, be like, "Hey, Pete, let's do shots." Yeah, it's pretty hard to be optimistic about the current state of things. Again,
military
the
police
reporting is
officers
that all
in their
of
service.
Trump's nominees
They were some
are
of the
gonna make it through.
best
Oh my
soldiers
God,
I worked
Tom
with.
Cotton.
So women have been serving in combat for a long
bro.
time. Women have even been serving
You
in
want to talk about a guy
combat
who would
units like
gleefully
infantry
sacrifice
battalions for a
principle
long time,
on
and
the
roles
altar of
like
Trump.
medics or mechanics or what have you. So what we're talking about here specifically
I mean, I don't
is
know.
women
Maybe I'm wrong.
in ground combat
That's why I say out of
roles,
like prediction stuff.
in jobs
but,
like infantrymen
Cotton
or
is,
artillerymen or special forces.
he's
Until about
really
10 years
gross.
ago, that
He's
wasn't
been
the
really
case.
gross under the Biden
Under
administration.
Secretary
Just carrying
Panetta,
water
those
for Trump,
roles
and he's
were
supposed to be
opened
one of
up
those
to
principled,
women to serve
neocon
in.
hawks.
Has President Trump indicated at all that he plans to rescind
Tom
or
Cotton
alter
is
that
such a
guidance?
mendacious fuck. Yes, and I believe
You're
that
correct
phrase,
to point out,
mendacious
Senator,
fuck,
that
I
these
hear it
are
a
the
lot
decisions
from
that the
Professor
commander in
Scott
chief will
Galloway
have the prerogative
in
to make.
his,
He has not
his
indicated
podcast with Kara
to
Swisher,
me that he has
who, by the
plans to
way,
change
seems like
whether or
DGD was
not women
introduced
would
to
have
Kara
access to
Swisher
these
from
roles.
Stephen's
However,
reaction
I would
to
point
her
out,
appearance on Piers Morgan. She was
ensuring
the
that
one
standards are
reading
equal
Tim
and
Pool
high
and
is of importance to him and great
I'm
importance
blanking on
to
the
me.
others.
Because
Dave
in those
Smith,
ground
the Riot
combat
Act
roles,
over the
what is true is that the weight of the
Zuckerberg
ruck on your back
Metaswitch.
doesn't change.
So
the weight
Scott
of the
Galloway has a
155 round that you
podcast
have to
with
carry
her.
doesn't
He has a
change.
podcast with
The
Jessica
weight of the
Tarlov of
240
Fox
Bravo
News,
machine
the
gun you
best
might have to carry
person
doesn't
at
change.
Fox News.
And so whether it's a man or a woman, they have to meet the same high standards. And Senator, in any place where those things have been eroded or in courses, criteria have been changed in order to meet quotas, racial quotas or gender quotas, that is putting a focus on something other than readiness, standards, meritocracy, and lethality. So that's the kind of review I'm talking about, not whether women have access to ground combat.
Okay,
roles.
so thank you. So you expect no change to that guidance, but as you point out, in these specific jobs, there are irreducible.
All right, how do I sound
physical
now, folks? How do I
demands.
sound? How do I sound?
We expect our
Testing,
intelligence
testing.
analysts and our
Very slight
mechanics to be
crackles
physically
and pops
fit
on
in the
feed.
military,
Josiah speak.
but
Destiny
it's
came
different
here
when
with
you're
the
in the
videos playing.
infantry or the
Josiah's talking.
artillery. You
You
just
should be one
mentioned
or
a
the
few things.
other.
Let me point it out. An artillery shell weighs
Please
almost
get
100
him to react to
pounds.
Galloway.
An Abrams
Yeah, I
tank
think
round
Destiny would like
weighs around
to-
50 pounds.
I think
The
he'd like
M240
Galloway.
Bravo machine gun with its
To be honest with
tripod
you,
weighs almost 50 pounds.
his,
The
I think
average
he appeared
weight
recently on
of a
Real Time with
full
Bill
kit,
Maher, and that was like the
ammo,
first time he'd been
water,
brought to my attention.
commo, body
Um,
armor for a soldier is over 100 pounds.
I haven't
Nothing
watched enough of
you can
his
do
stuff to
can
develop
change
an
any of those
opinion.
things, right? That is
He seems
physical
all right
reality.
from the stuff that I have seen from
Go ahead. Yes,
like, his
Senator. And I would
conversations with
say
Jessica Tarlov.
the requirements to
He apparently went
handle
viral
those
the other
things in a
day
ground
for
combat
going
unit
off
as
on
far
an
as standards
MSNBC
can
panel
look
about
different than those of a
think it might
medic
have
or a drone
been
pilot. And so it's not that it has to be the same
Luigi
standard
Mangione,
throughout. It's
healthcare
standards to
CEO
maximize
shooting.
efficacy
like he said,
of that particular
something pretty
position.
controversial,
Let me
pretty
read
spicy.
a quote here from one
But I
Army
haven't had a chance to
officer.
watch it.
While it may be difficult for a 120-pound woman to lift or drag 250 pounds, the Army cannot artificially
That at all or no?
I can't.
absolve
no.
women of
I
that
think it might have been-
responsibility. It may still exist on the battlefield. The
Is there any
entire
going at all or no?
purpose
No, I can't. Like
of
it's
creating a
nothing.
gender
This is
neutral
totally different.
test was to acknowledge the reality that each job has
Okay.
objective physical standards
I think it's
to
good
which
enough.
all soldiers should be held, regardless of gender. The intent was
love you.
not to
Love
ensure
you too, buddy.
that
How are
women
you?
and men will have an equal
Chilling.
likelihood
How are you?
of meeting those standards.
How are you?
I assume, based on your testimony, you agree with that Army
Chilling
officer.
too. Cool.
Yes, of course.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The standards need to be the same and they need to be high. And they need to be set by the people closest to the problem set, closest to the understanding of what is required by that job.
Well, man, you
Commanders,
do a mic
commanding
test.
officers, and COCOMs and elsewhere who understand
Hello.
the reality of what they face, that's the feedback we
Welcome
should
to
get.
hell.
That's what should be enshrined and enforced.
6 more days.
And no other
The
set of
United
political
States.
prerogatives.
Well, you
When I
mean
talk
4 more
about
years, right?
removing
True. No, I mean 6
politics,
more days until hell.
ideological or political prerogatives should contribute to those determinations. Nothing other than the execution
do-
of the mission.
Thank you.
Huh?
For the record,
We're not in
that
hell where
Army
we are right
officer
now.
was Captain
Purgatory,
Kristen
but-
Greast,
And you're Catholic.
the Army's first
We're raised
female
Catholic.
infantry officer and one of its
Purgatory
first
come before hell.
female Ranger School graduates.
I don't even know if purgatory.
One
is
final
real.
point, you said they need to be objective, gender neutral, and
They
high.
mentioned in the Bible like once.
That's because
or
the
twice,
demands
but we have like we talked
are,
about it a lot
in fact,
in
very high.
school, but
The current physical fitness test
You
for the
think you
Army has a
calling?
minimum 2-mile run
You could have
of
been
22 miles.
diocese something.
Run.
Father.
And I want the reporter to know that I'm putting run in
Okay,
air
you can-
quotes.
No, I'm
Which
just
direction
Because
you're going
22
with that?
miles at 2 miles is not running.
I was
Maybe
thinking
jogging,
more,
it's probably walking
spiritual
fast.
purity, not really salacious.
let's move on.
implication there.
And wait, can you pause the video if it's just
We've got
because
a
we can't
big-
hear it yet? So
22 minutes. We've got a big audience here.
'Cause
Many
I
of
think
them
they're
seem to
getting,
be patriotic supporters.
audio mogged on stream. Okay, cool. Just that. Okay. This is Trump's America right now.
This wouldn't be happening if Kamala
wasn't
Harris
for
won the
Trump.
election.
And yeah, true.
He's actually, think about it, it's actually quite clever. Maybe he's smarter than we give us credit for, or we give him credit for, because here's this confirmation is going on, and we could be lending the power of your audience and the power of our joint insight to this. It could derail his entire confirmation. And instead, we're not able to do that.
Because of Kamala and Biden.
And
Trump.
communist audio issues. It's a well documented fact that audio issues are a consequence of communism. Read Marx.
How much Marx have you read?
I think we read. I don't even think we read the full Communist Manifesto back in college. We did like an abridged coverage of it, in like one of my political history classes. Just never been particularly interested in him.
Really?
Yeah, I've never been like. I never went through. Believe it or not, I went through a. That's why I was smiling when we were talking 3 hours ago about Tim Pool. Feels like 3 hours ago, because I actually went through a phase after Trump's election where I was a Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson simp. But I never went through a
Jesus.
communist phase. Yeah,
What, like in 2016?
2017,
Wait, how old are you again?
33.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd only ever voted Democrat, and I'd always like was an outspoken liberal. I despised Trump, voted for Hillary, but then after he got elected, and I think this is the power of algorithms and like echo chambers. I was like doing like a lot of debate on message boards and shit like that over like politics, Star Wars, whatever. And so like debate and like prominent debaters, like that was a big deal. It was funny because I hadn't heard of you until later on, but everybody knew about Ben Shapiro, right? Watch Ben Shapiro dunk on this person. So you start watching some Ben Shapiro videos, and then it introduces you to Tim Pool, and then You Can't Cuck the Tuck, volume 42.
Wait, but you were actually like conservative-ish? Conservative
No. So I still was only ever voting for Democrats, but I was like very envious of that space. Like I was like, damn, we need our own Ben Shapiro. Damn, we need our own Tucker Carlson. And every time Tucker Carlson would bring on, some dipshit straw liberal to make fun of, I was like, God, we suck. We liberals suck. Look at this. We're getting humiliated. And then Tim Pool, he did this Joe Rogan podcast with the like top lawyer at Twitter under Jack Dorsey. Do you remember this? Do you remember this was like 2018, 2017, 2018?
Maybe.
Where he kind of read her the Riot Act, and I was actually enamored. I was like, damn, he's like he's a liberal taking the principled stance of criticizing his own side for free speech. And anytime somebody would say, listen, he says he's a liberal, but come on, I would say, no. He's like doing the Jordan Peterson, because I also like Jordan Peterson at the time. He's doing the Jordan Peterson thing. He's keeping his own house in order. And that's what you're supposed to do. Conservatives should be policing their side. We should be policing our side. This is good and noble. Tim Pool is doing noble liberal work. And it took a friend really to get through to me about where my priorities were, snap me out of it. But it was a good year. Trump was president. Trump was the most powerful man in the world, and I gave more of a fuck about what AOC was tweeting on, like his bullshit. And that's why I'm so. I try to come from like a position of empathy with this because I get it, but that's why I'm so hard on people who are like, yeah, sure, Trump's the most powerful man in the world, but what about this random fucking Democratic like congressperson? It's like, no, it's actually really stupid to be more concerned about what a freshman Democrat who has to share power with 534 other people say, and not what the president of the United States says. There's no rational basis. You should be more fixated on what people who have more power say. So that's why I'm so vicious about it now. Because like I was that guy.
I still firmly believe that I hold the fans a lot less accountable than the media people, like the leaders, I guess. Yeah, because like you said, however powerful the algorithms were back then, it's 100x more now.
Bro.
Because now it's not just algorithms. Now it's also like all of your hobbies are all part of that as well, right? There's no break from politics in any part of your life, it seems.
Yeah, but it's interesting though, because like, and again, like I'm so boomer when it comes to tech, and part of it is I just don't have the attention span or the interest to really dive into it. So I just defer to people in conversation who know more about it. But what's interesting about the algorithm at the time was it didn't introduce me to you or Pac-Man or Vosh or Brian Tyler Cohen or Sam Cedar. Like I had no idea any of these people existed, even though you would think I was consuming political content and I was watching political debates. Why not throw that extra millimeter and give me some of the liberal contemporaries? You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't.
I understand what you're saying. I
It
think
didn't-
that
it
there's
didn't
some
recommend
fault
you
with
all
the
to me.
algorithm, but I also think there's I'm having like a metaphysical existential crisis. I'm sorry.
No, it's
There's
okay.
like this concept of like the world that you exist in is largely it's created in the mind, right? And then the mind creates it based on the things that you perceive, right? But we don't perceive most of the country or the world or even the city we live in. We go by what's on the news.
Right.
And so what we see and what we're fed becomes the reality or the world that we think we inhabit. So when you're blaming the algorithm, or I'm not accusing you of it, but like you're blaming the algorithm for not feeding you the correct content, but that's also part of the intentional conservative strategy as well. If you were the biggest, baddest, I thought about this over the past like 6 months to a year, but I didn't extend this that far back, but I should have actually. If you're the biggest and baddest debater, why wouldn't you like line up liberals and just crush them? Why would you only debate high schoolers and college kids?
Right.
Like that's pathetic.
Yeah.
Again, it says a lot about you. Did you ever play any video games at all or not really?
I mean, a bit. Like I'm right now going through my second Witcher 3 full.
When you
Full
play like
playthrough.
online competitive games or things called ladders that rank you and you
Yeah.
match against other people.
Yeah, I played Halo. So like it's like not even Call of Duty, but I played Halo where you would do like ranked matches, and so it would try to match you with people like comparable like skill level and rank. Yeah.
You know what I just realized is conservatives are like Smurfs that act like they're the top of the ladder.
What's a Smurf?
A Smurf is a guy who just creates a new account to go and farm to go and beat up a whole bunch of basically new players.
Gotcha.
And these are funny
Are
streams.
they the guys that like hang out in like the starter areas? And
Yeah,
just, like, one
basically,
shot?
yeah. And
Okay.
they're funny to watch, and some people will even support it because it's so funny. But like I think a lot of people look down on these people. It's like, one, you're ruining the experience for other people because now they're introduced to this game, they're getting destroyed. And two, you think you're way better than you actually are. There's a reason why you avoid people of your own skill level and you just go to farm noobs. It's because you have no idea how to actually play at a high level.
Right.
And I just realized that the entire conservative media circuit is based on this concept of being a really good player, when in reality they're just smurfing constantly. Because if you think about all the famous debates and everything that Ben Shapiro and everybody did, it was all college kids. It was all owning college kids.
Yeah.
And if you think about when they try to do like real conversations, Jordan Peterson thinking that he could prepare for a debate against Zizek by just reading the Communist Manifesto is probably one of the greatest examples of stupidity I've ever seen in my entire life. And it demonstrates an unbelievable amount of hubris and a lack of knowing what you don't know. Do you know what the Communist Manifesto like largely was?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was kind of like the for dummies version for peasants to understand communism. Zizek is regardless of how you
He's
feel
a
about
scholar.
him,
Yeah.
he's a real ass dude. That guy's
Right.
read a lot. He's a smart guy. How the fuck are you going to read the Communist Manifesto and go and debate Zizek on fucking
Well, yeah,
communism?
like even if it's the most seminal work, like there's a whole scholarship associated with it. But it's funny because like Jordan Peterson's interesting to me. Well, he's not now, but he was interesting to me at the time because like where he came to my attention was the Channel 4 conversation with the Kathy Newman. So you're saying, and I mean, clearly she was a bad faith interviewer. There's no question about it. And he was much saner than he is now. Like he was, much more charitable, much more magnanimous. Now, some people say, well, this is this is the inevitable consequence of being taken out of context so many times. But I feel like it's actually not that. Like, he did a GQ interview like a year later and he was a bit more combative, but the guy we see now, like, openly shilling for working for the Daily Wire and stuff like this, he is just more openly partisan in a way that we've never seen. And as somebody who is openly partisan, I don't take issue. That's my beef with Piers Morgan. I just want Morgan to come out and admit that you're a Trump supporter. I don't think that makes you, necessarily, like, in terms of your content, like, terrible or whatever. Just don't cling to the aesthetic of being, this just tell it like it is kind of guy. You have your biases. They're a matter of public record, and own it. My problem is so many people, and particularly on the right, because I don't see people on the left do this as much, if any, which is that they are openly simping for one side, but they are so horny. Like, no. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Trump supporter. I just say it like it is. And watching him really go in that direction was that was like an eye opener, because I even bought his 12 rules for, like, not only did I buy his book, I recommended my father buy it. Like, that's how much of a fan of his I was at the time. So that's my shame.
It might be worth it to go back and rewatch that Kathy Newman debate.
Yeah.
One of the things that Jordan Peterson does is such a trap. And from the outside, it looks like the other interviewer is being bad faith and horrible. But Peterson is so good at, like, laying these, like, breadcrumbs up to a thing, but he won't actually make the strong statement at the end.
He won't own a position. Like, think about it. Like, what is the meme, like, whenever they ask him, like, do you believe in God?
Yeah, but the God one is especially stupid. But I'm just saying that, like, he'll do description with no prescription. He'll say, like, women don't get along with men at the workplace. Women wear makeup to attract men and be sexual. Everything's gotten worse with women in the workplace. And so Kathy Newman was like, so are you saying that women shouldn't be there? Like, well, I've never said that in my entire life. You can't find me ever. And then
Even
all the
though
people
it's a
listen,
necessary implication.
Yeah,
almost,
even though that is basically exactly where he's leading you to. Yeah, and it's very annoying. Yeah.
Have you, like, retroacted? Because I know you used to, I won't say defend him, but you gave him more credibility than a lot of people in the space, like, for the longest time. Do you, like, retroactively look back on it?
For Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
The only credibility I think I've almost ever given him is that prior to the
His psych
C16 shit.
takes.
Yeah, I think it was, like, pretty good.
But that's what I'm that's what I'm saying. Like, has it caused you, because you just said going back and revisiting that Kathy Newman interview?
Well, that
like,
wasn't prior to C16, right? That was after.
That was after. Yeah.
That's when his brain started to break.
So basically, when he came into the public fore, that's when you think the transformation started.
The C16 shit destroyed his mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember when Canadians were supposed to be rounding people up into?
Yeah, I think there was a subreddit named, like, arrests from C16 or something, and, like,
a big subreddit.
Like 000. Yeah,
There's a lot of threads there, a lot of arrests under C16.
No, it's just that was the name. It's a joke.
No, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm asking, like, I'm curious, like, how many? Like,
yeah. I think that the all of the federal agencies that were supposed to arrest people came down to America and arrested them for posting anti-liberal stuff on Twitter instead, and that's why I thank God Elon Musk saved us from that.
Bro, did you see that? It was Bloomberg reported that they're thinking about selling to avoid the ban. They're thinking about selling TikTok to Elon Musk.
I don't think that'll ever happen, but we'll see.
What would prevent it? Wouldn't it be antitrust regulation?
No, I don't know why ByteDance would sell it unless there's something I'm not considering. Why would you give that to such a competitor in the U.S.?
But if, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't, like, the U.S. like their biggest market? So if there's a ban here, won't that fuck ByteDance? ByteDance? What'd you call it?
ByteDance.
Yeah.
The rest of the world market is larger than just the U.S., but ByteDance is not going to divest to TikTok. TikTok's not going to run independently. That'll never happen. ByteDance wants control of it. And so if they were to divest or sell it,
so it'd still be better for them to just eat the U.S. ban than to sell it to Elon Musk.
Depends what you mean when you say better for them.
Financially.
I don't know if it's just a financial consideration.
Gotcha.
If you're looking at it from the Chinese control aspect.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you're looking at it from, like, a national security standpoint, and then if you're looking at it from, like, an economic decision standpoint, it might be better financially to sell it to an American company, but it might be stronger from a NatSec, like, from this idea of, like, fuck the US. Like, even if we can make money selling it to X or Meta, we're not going to. Fuck them. We'll just let it die. I think they did it in India. India banned TikTok and they pulled the plug on it there, and TikTok just dead. They didn't sell it to anybody there, and they had a much larger market there, although not as wealthy of a user base. But
second biggest population in the world. If you let's just grant the premise, then let's just take the reporting at face value. What would stop Musk, like, because I assume he could generate the capital to buy TikTok, right? Presumably, what would stop that from going through? Would it be like,
Oh, if
FTC?
they wanted to sell it, then somebody will buy it. There will be a big buyer in the U.S.
But could Musk do it? Because basically, like, again, I haven't dove too deeply into it, but like somebody said that it could violate like antitrust because he already controls Twitter. Would it be like a monopoly or whatever? Like,
I don't know how much antitrust we do for tech companies. It doesn't feel like we do any, so I don't know.
I was
Maybe
just
I'm
kind of
stupid.
skeptical on it because I'm like, it'll be Trump's antitrust people and Musk is
Yeah,
a
that
top
too.
ally.
But I mean, like Facebook owns Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp.
but the FTC is like going after them right now. Like, there's pending litigation. Like, they're facing lawsuits on that very issue. And of course, I expect
Sure, but like,
that'll go
why
away.
would Facebook even be allowed to buy Instagram? I know this is a long time ago, but what the fuck? That even at the time, it was a pretty big acquisition.
Wasn't it under Trump that happened?
Oh, maybe actually.
Hmm.
Are we still? Are we working on the YouTube audio or?
Yeah, I'm not sure. They said it was Obama. It was under Obama.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because it was a
2012.
long time ago, that acquisition.
Damn. That's an L, Mr. President.
Yeah, I haven't dug into like antitrust stuff at all. I don't understand how it feels like every tech company is involved in some form of like monopolization that's like way past the line. So I don't know how any of it works.
Aren't
Like-
you wanting to bring the boot of the federal government on these tech companies now after the tenant media stuff and you become blackpilled, right?
Yeah, but the tenant media stuff wasn't having anything to do with monopolies. That was just
Oh, yeah.
FAR violations, and I can't believe any of those guys can show their face. That would be like the end of your career.
Sure.
Maybe not for the 4 smaller ones. I am more sympathetic because the deals might have been like more in the realm of possibility, but $5 million, no shot. That's just insane to me.
The notion of like what would kill a Democrat's career versus a Republican, again, that's something that tortures me more than is productive, but like I'm obsessed with it. Like
when Al Franken had the pictures come out and he quit the Senate and Donald Trump was
Democrats called for Franken to resign.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just Republicans, Democrats did. And but beyond that, like even like the wildfires in California to me are a great example. Do you know, like, we're just seeing a steady drip of Republicans come out and say we shouldn't provide disaster relief unless there are political concessions or political conditions attached to it. And that's just so fucking triggering to me because it's like, we don't do that. Some reply guy was like, oh, well, Josiah, I swear you're dead wrong because in 2017, Democrats said that they would back a Republican bill to raise the debt ceiling and provide federal aid for Hurricane Harvey. But then you find out Republicans, number one, controlled both chambers and the White House, so it wasn't like Democrats could block the deal. Number two, Republicans were the ones who wanted to attach a debt ceiling hike under Trump to Hurricane Harvey relief. So it was their idea. Democrats just said, hey, listen, we'll back it if your fiscal hawks like refuse to play along in exchange for a shorter window. So like even the closest analog they can find is not Democrats, blocking relief to these red states. And
which states do you think need more federal disaster relief? It's probably red ones,
states.
right? Because of all the hurricanes and shit.
100%. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and I don't know what the solution to that is because some people are saying, and I get it, like, okay, like I think it was Jared Moskowitz said, you know what? Don't do this because if you do this, as soon as Democrats take power, we'll do the same thing. They won't do that. I do not believe for a second that Democrats would ever play games with federal assistance, even if it would be in their political interest to do so. And so what incentive is there for Republicans to stop doing what they're doing? They know that if they ever lose power, Democrats won't do to them what they do to Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
What's the incentive for Republicans to change?
Yeah. Okay, I think we're going to restart the stream in a bit because they're going to check it. They're going to check their stuff.
I'm going to pee.
We'll probably, hopefully, by the when we figure this all out, we'll restart the confirmation so we can at least listen through it. So we'll be back.